If you've been shopping around for archery equipment, you would have come across something called ILF. It's used in descriptions for limbs and for risers. ILF stands for International Limb Fitting. It's a system that refers to the way that limbs are mounted onto risers. Basically, if a riser is described as ILF, that means it's compatible with any ILF limb. For example, this Win-N-Win Inno CXT is ILF compatible. That means I can use these Inno EX Power limbs or these KS Stallion limbs. Basically, I could borrow any set of ILF limbs and put them on my riser. If we take a closer look, you can see how the limb pocket is designed. Although different manufacturers have slightly different limb pockets, the way the limbs sit into the riser is exactly the same. To demonstrate this, my coach took his 1980s Hoyt gold medalist and borrowed my Inno EX limbs and put them on, and it worked just fine. As a modern day archer buying equipment in 2015, this has become the norm. ILF isn't anything special anymore. A lot of the features that we've become used to are things which are just there. But it's nice to take a look back to see where the system came from and why it's an industry standard today. The system was developed in 1985 by Hoyt Archery. Back then, it was known as the HDS, or Hoyt Dovetail System. Back then, many bow manufacturers used their own proprietary systems, which is why today, many of the entry-level bows can only use their own branded limbs. Where Hoyt's system stood out and was admired by different bow manufacturers was the simplicity of the system. It was really easy to connect the limb to the limb pocket. It was easy to click in, it was easy to adjust for draw weight and tiller and alignment, there's no twisting involved, and there are no tools required. One of the biggest advantages that we take for granted today is how easy it is to tune a bow. ILF risers can adjust the draw weight of the limbs to within 5% higher or lower of the stated draw weight. This is a vital advantage for archers, as this allows an archer to adjust the poundage to suit their needs and to get a finer tune with their equipment so that arrows come out as nicely as possible. This innovation from Hoyt is the reason why the system is now universally used in limb and riser designs. Today, archery is much more accessible and easier to purchase for, knowing that you can use almost any limb with any bow. That level of interchangeability gives you far more options based on your performance needs, your shooting style, or your budget. It's common, for example, for a new archer to buy a good ILF riser and cheap ILF limbs with the intention of replacing them later on once they've grown into their archery style. The short and sweet answer to the question, what is ILF, is that it's a universal pocket system that allows you to use most limbs with most risers. However, sometimes people do have a different understanding of ILF and use the term ambiguously. The most common misconception I see is when people mix up an ILF bow with target bow. For example, someone might be thinking of buying a Martin Jaguar, and then someone tells them they should buy an ILF bow. This can be confusing because these people are usually referring to the sports style target bow. Note, however, that not all target bows are ILF, and not all ILF bows are target bows. While the vast majority of target bows now use ILF, there are still a number that don't. Some of the cheap lower-end models might only use their own proprietary limb systems, but the most notable exception is the Hoyt Formula series. The Formula bows and limbs can only be used with each other. Hoyt claims that their design offers better performance for several reasons, and I'm not in any position to judge whether it's true or not. If you're looking at buying a Hoyt bow but you don't want to use the Formula system, most Hoyt models do have an ILF version, such as the Grand Prix series. There are also numerous traditional and hunting bows that aren't target bows, which use ILF. For example, Sky Archery makes several models such as the Sky TDX, and Lancaster's Stratec series features small-sized traditional bows that are ILF compatible. You can see how suggesting that someone buy an ILF bow can be confusing if you actually meant a target bow. So remember, ILF is most accurately used to describe the limb pocket system. That's how the limb fits onto the riser. All ILF risers can use any ILF limb. However, not all target bows are ILF, and you shouldn't use the term to describe a generic target bow. Hope this clears up a few things. This is NUSensei. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.